Hey guys, welcome to the Rusty Hook Kayak Fishing Podcast. It's Takeover Tuesday, or if Buddy Vance would like to say, it's Taco Tuesday. But hey, we're live, raw, and unfiltered, and I got a great show for you, so let's kick it off.
You're watching the Paddle and Fin Podcast Network. Welcome to the Rusty Hook Podcast, presented by Feelfree Kayaks. Paddle, pedal, or power, there's something for everyone. ZPRO Lithium, serious power for serious anglers. DuBro Fishing, American marine application and soft plastics. Big Lake Bait Company, Texas's #1 custom bait maker. Raw and unfiltered. Streaming on Twitch, YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. Bringing you gear reviews and candid interviews from the industry's best. Angler profiles, tournament news, and legendary knowledge from kayak fishing's best. Grab that cold drink and get settled in. Now here's John Rapp, our host.
All right. Thanks again, guys, for tuning in to the Rusty Hook Kayak Fishing Podcast. We're live, raw, and unfiltered. And we see we got Roy watching us. Hey, Roy, thanks for hanging out with us, buddy. Appreciate you. But we are streaming via Twitch, YouTube, Facebook, and X, formerly Twitter. We're live, raw, and unfiltered out in Colorado, Illinois, West Virginia, and all parts nationwide. Got a great show for you with a cast of characters that you have seen on the Paddle and Fin podcast here at Rusty Hook over the years. Some of the guys have been on as of a couple weeks ago, and some have been on frequently. Some of these guys you see on the Paddle and Fin podcast running a show, and one of the baddest you ever meet in your life. So let's bring all these boys on. I know they're excited to get in and talk about the topic, which is 2024. Can't believe it. It's already June 4th. We've already fished a half a season, and these guys have hammered it, and we thought we would just talk about what they've done and what they've got planned. So without further ado, let's bring them on. We're going to add Dustin Nichols from Texas. What's up, Dustin?
What's up, John? How's it going, man?
Good, buddy. We got Jody Queen from West Virginia.
Hey, John. What's up, Dustin?
What's up, Jody?
We got Buddy Vance from another West Virginia boy.
Yeah, horns down. What's up, John?
Yeah.
Hey, and we got one of the national champs here since we're throwing out some college football stuff. We got a Georgia boy, Josh Diehl.
Yes, sir. I'm originally from Georgia too. That's where I grew up. I grew up in Brunswick, St. Simons. Yeah.
That's right, but we don't consider you Georgia, man.
I got a peach right there to prove it, buddy. There's a peach right there. Right there.
Man, hey guys, welcome to Rusty Hook Kayak Fishing Podcast. Welcome to The Gun Show, starring Dustin Nichols.
I don't know about that
guys. So hey, I appreciate you guys hanging out. Oh my gosh, I mean, look at this, sick Mr. B. Boys, that's my Air Force airman or staff sergeant up in Alaska joining us. What's up, boys? Got Roy saying hello to you guys.
What's up, Roy?
What's up, Roy?
Hey,
Roy.
Tony Bowen in the house. Better watch out.
Tony.
Big Tony.
Yes.
Hey, guys. So, first of all, let's get that banner off of you here. Okay, and I want you guys to talk to me a little bit about 2024. I mean, as I introduced all you guys at the beginning of the show, was that, everybody that's here is successful, has been hammering it and killing it on the scene. Texas, West Virginia, regionally, nationally. I mean, Dustin, if you guys have been following him the past couple months, he's been pulling victories down in Texas, not only in the salt scene, but he's been smashing the freshwater scene too. And then bottom left, we got Buddy Vance, no stranger to the big stage the past couple of years. By my count, just off the top of my head, I know he's walked the stage 3 times in the last 14 months with either Bassmaster or something like that. South Carolina last year and 2 times this year. Then we got the record-setting Josh Diehl on the bottom right, smashing money stealing kayaks, and the 4 Big Bass Power Hour money winner with the event that was held just a couple weeks back. And then, as I like to put it, and I get smacked around every time he sees me personally, the greatest of all time, the greatest kayak angler to ever walk the face of the planet, Jody Queen. I mean,
you're gonna make me blush now.
hashtag respect, brother. That's
sir.
all there is to it, man.
For sure.
So, guys, 2024. Let's talk about what you've done, and just while I got you on here, your sponsors, your equipment, give some shout outs, and your socials so people can follow you. I mean, I'm sure they already do for most of you, but for the few people that might be tuning in, give them an area where they can find you guys. So let's start off with Dustin. Dustin, jump it off. We'll start at Fort Office with his brother.
Dang. Oh man.
Hey, hold on, man. I just got to do this. Dustin Nichols, my friends and followers. I know you know who he is, but don't forget about this.
Providing wisdom, knowledge, plus spin a few stories from time spent on the water. Saltwater fishing. Updates by the raddest baddest dude on the Gulf Coast. Now let's join the one and only devil dog himself, Dustin Nichols.
It's coming back. It's been on a little hiatus, so we'll have some new episodes coming back. Chasing the Tide coming back. Get that flipped around and start getting after it again. It's been tough not being on the mic, but now, John messaged me about coming on here tonight. I've been keeping it kind of local this year. I've had a couple trips here and there. I had a bust in Florida back in April. I was on some fish, decided to fish a different area in the Florida Redfish series and kind of caught oversized fish and big speckled trout all day, which I love to catch them, but that wasn't a target species. But no, all in all, it's been a pretty good year. Started off saltwater survival series. Was on some stud fish, like 8-9 pound reds, like big for slot fish, and just couldn't make it work on tournament day. I'd cast the groups of fish, and all of the fish would try to eat the bait at the same time. It was insane. They were all trying to crush it, and I landed an 8.62, which was big. It was the second biggest red of the tournament, but with that one fish, I think I placed like 14th out of like 80 something people.
Yeah,
gave me some valuable points because Hobie has a saltwater series this year with certain events throughout the year. So I'm kind of gunning to make that top 70 and go to their saltwater TOC. I'm really hoping that works out. We got an outage in the end of the year, and I'm trying to make all that work if I can. But there's been a few other tournaments like local kind of grassroots kind of stuff, and I feel that's what grows our sport and it's good for the community. So I do fish those as well, and I've had some very good results in some of those. I've just had a win this past weekend in the Lack Attack tournament put on by the Rockport Fulton Chamber of Commerce in the speckled trout division. Got ran off the water for like 3 hours. We had 50-mile winds with 89-mile-an-hour gusts from a downburst storm. It was horrible. We had just got off the water in time. The guy that was fishing the same area I was in had his 5-year-old son on the kayak who ended up winning the overall. He won a kayak during that tournament.
That's
the redfish he caught. I took the speckled trout division, and another guy from Rockport was fly fishing and won the no respect or the trash fish division. So it was a pretty cool tournament. The ladies that put that on were great. Had a good little turnout and everything. And then Kayak Anglers of San Antonio, that was a annual frog only event on Lake Bastrop, which is something I fished that lake a pretty good bit. It's about an hour and 20 minutes from the house. And I took the win on that one. I just came from left field on that one, put up 82 inches by like 7:30, and then I ended the day with 88.75 on a frog. And it was fishing a little weird, but it's got eelgrass and some hydrilla, and all covered in reeds on the edge. So I just beat the isolated clumps in the shade and put it to work.
Heck yeah, man.
Put that Jackal Kiara frog into work. That little thing's a beast, dude. They love it. They love that one. And then what else? We had another tournament down in Aransas Pass. It was a combined stringer, 2 redfish, 1 trout. I ended up in 4th in that one. Had quite a few, top 5s this year. It's been a pretty good year so far.
Sweet. Cool, man. Appreciate that.
Yeah.
Yeah, heck yeah. Look forward to hearing about that. Hey, Jody,
Hey.
talk to us. Hey, buddy, welcome to the show. Thank you for
Hey.
joining us again. You seem to jump on here at least once to 3 times a year, and I really appreciate it. So I know
I'm just in here, man.
I know you're a much needed and respected angler, and a lot of guys are reaching out to you and grabbing you up. And so I appreciate you coming on the local home run network show and hanging out with us.
I'd rather be right here as anywhere, man.
Hey, brother.
I love being around my homeboys.
Tell us about what you've been doing this year. I know what you'll be doing in August, but I look forward to seeing what you're going to be doing. Tell us a little bit about where you've hit the trails you've hit so far this year.
Yeah, I've hit. I set out with a goal this year. I wanted to be in the top 5 for Angler of the Year in at least 2 out of the 3 trails, and I don't know if I'm going to make it. I know I'm close. I'm in the top 5 in one of them, but I don't know. After this last tournament, I may be in the top 5. I'm not sure, but we're still waiting on results on that. But man, the schedule this year was. Everything was in the first 6 months. So it's just I need a break. It's crazy. The schedule has been absolutely crazy because they all loaded up on the first 6 months of the year. So I spent a lot of time going from one tournament without going home and going to the next tournament. I did that like 2 or 3 times this year. So, but the year started out good. I started out on the Harris chain. I got a top 10 there. I think I finished 7th there in the Hobie BOS, and then from there, I think we went to. Let's see, where did we go from there? I think we went to Murray.
Yeah.
Logan Martin, one of the two. I think Logan Martin was the Hobie, and I finished. I think I had a 6th place finish there. So I've had a couple top 10s in the Hobie, and this last one at Kayak, I finished 6th there. So I've had 3 top 10s in the Hobie. So I should be sitting pretty good in the Hobie Angler of the Year race. Should be pretty good.
I would think.
Yeah.
They take your top 4, correct?
Top 3 in the Hobie.
Okay, well then that's going to be hard to beat. 3 6.
Yeah. I just really, I never did really. The Angler of the Year is an honor and everything, but it's just everything has to fall pretty much perfect for you to get in that.
Right.
And so I just, every year I want to make the championships, and I think with what I've got in Hobie right now, I'll make the TOC at Santee Cooper. So I'm looking forward to that. That's going to be in September. With KBF, I was sitting in 2nd for Angler of the Year. I've had a couple top 5 finishes in that, and another top 10, I think. And that was at Murray. And then let's see what else. Oh, and I think I've got a 15th in the Bass, but I'm looking forward to the Susky coming up in July.
Yeah, so, you're a 2-time winner up there. That should be.
Yeah, I'm hoping to get on them again on the Susky. That'll make a good finish there, and then I love Caddo. That's going to be my last one for Bass, so I'll have 4 in. I think for Basses they require 4. So we'll see where I sit at the end of that. But my next big tournament is, I think it's the 27th of June. I'll be going up to Canada and fishing the Hobie World this year. Honored to be a part of that. I qualified for it a couple of years ago, and then COVID hit. And so they had to put 2 of them together this year. That's going to be the Hobie Worlds 10 and 11. So I passed up on Sweden because of everything that was going on over there. So, but this one I'm going to go to. I'll be up there fishing in June, end of June, 1st of July for the Hobie Worlds up there, which I'm excited about that. So,
heck yeah, sounds great, man.
Been a wild year. But I'm doing good this year. I've cashed a check in just about everything I fished this year. So,
sweet.
I haven't won any other than I won one of the onlines, but you got 30 days to put that together, I guess. So
yeah.
But I fish a couple of days at a time, and I only have time to fish 1 or 2 days in the monthlies. But that's something I think, I think a lot of people, now that KBF has fished their last trail tournament, I really think that the Challenge Series is really going to start picking up. I think because there's going to be room for it. And, man, I went down and fished Alabama, fished Gunnersville, and I didn't do real well there. I think I finished okay, but I entered the Challenge Series before I went down there and ended up winning it during the practice period, and I had a couple of fish come out of it and I won like $800. So yeah, I'm getting to where I'm entering the Challenge Series just about everywhere I go now, because I mean it's extra cash if you get in on it,
Right.
You get 10 or 15 people in there, the payouts are pretty good. So that's something I'm looking forward to the rest of the year too. You got the Challenge Series Championship and stuff. So yeah, it's been a good year.
Cool. Let's, buddy Vance, let's hear about what you got going on, what you've been doing, what you got planned.
So far, all I fished there this year, John's the Bassmaster Kayak Series. The first tournament I didn't do as good as I expected. Second tournament in Texas actually finished in the money, so I was pleased with it being my first time out there. Then at Gunnersville, I ended up finishing 7th in the money and had the bites to win, so can't complain with 7th. But
right,
all the Bassmaster Series. Really looking forward to the next one up there in the Susquehanna. Hopefully, I learned something watching Jody Queen last year up there. I struggle a little bit, but I watched him, and I wish I'd have changed earlier throughout the tournament. But you learn, live and learn. So hopefully, do better next time. I haven't fished any local tournaments yet, but I plan on it. I mean, usually fishing almost all the clubs here in West Virginia, but this year I've been trying to concentrate on the national tournament.
I have noticed that since we didn't run any tournaments with West Virginia kayak anglers, a lot of the guys have ventured, out of state with the major trails.
Yeah.
So
really, these major trails. I mean, it's pretty awesome. Hopefully, I plan on looking at fishing one of the Hobie tournaments. I haven't tried it yet, but the one on the Chickamauga. I wish I would have fished this last one. I mean, that really favored my style of fishing, But maybe next year we'll try it. So,
yeah, I've made a couple. I went down to Murray for bass, and then I did the Lake Norman for Hobie. So nothing to brag about either one, but got to spend some time with my buddy Josh Diehl down here at the bottom at Lake Norman. Had a good time. So, hey,
it was called. I mean, it played into my strong point. So I wish I would have went, but we just got back from Erie, and it's tough going back to back to back and work.
Well, yeah, I mean, I know, a lot of these guys that are on here are road warriors. I mean, you got to be when you're running those trails like that. And I mean, I've been somewhere since February for a week every month.
Yeah.
And I know I've just been, that's just 1 week. And I know Jody and Josh, I mean, those two guys have been on the roads at multiple events during the month. So it gets expensive real quick. Yeah. So, well, thank you, buddy. Let's bring on Josh. Hey, man, welcome to the show.
Hey, appreciate it.
Appreciate you, man. So, you know the drill. What have you been into and what's going on?
Man, I'm like Jody. I'm like wiped out. I have been in 16 or 17 events in the last 20 weeks. Yeah. And then for me, like I fished the Bassmaster Kayak Series, I fished the Hobie BOS, and then in addition to that, I also run bass boats back here at home. And so like I'm on the water pretty consistently. And then in the mix, hey man, appreciate it. In the mix of all that, I'm also working a 40 to 60 hour work week when I can find the time. And so I'm pretty fortunate with work that they give me the schedule opportunities to get away. But I mean, I usually get 1.5 to 2 days practice at max going into any of the national events, trying to make the best of it and piece it together as fast as I can and then come out and swing. And I'll tell you, like this year, especially with everything being so front loaded, like there has definitely been wear and tear. I saw it coming into the season. I was like, I'm going to be tired. I'm going to be exhausted. And I've had to my caliber standards, what I hold myself for, I call it mediocre. You know, last I looked, I was 10th in AOI and BASS. I was 17th in Hobie, which I know I'm going to fall in that a little bit. I had to miss the Harris Chain event, which is unfortunate because it's a stellar event for me. I usually do exceptionally well at the Harris Chain. I think my records down there between Hobie and BASS are a pair of fifths and like a seventh. Historically, it's just a fisher I do well at. And so having to miss that hurt. I did make the trip to Rayburn. I've been to 10 Killer, been to Norman, been to Murray, been to Gunnersville. We've been road dogging it. I mean, as best we can. And the competition's been fierce. And to be honest with you, that's something that's a little bit different this year too. Like the Hobie side has seen some decent numbers, you know, 100, 130, 140 people in an event. These 230, 240 boat events are absolutely no joke. And I don't know if there's enough conversation happening about the size of some of those events, but like you're putting a lot of great anglers on some of these bodies of water. And I mean, the competition's fierce and you got to go out and catch them. And you're dealing with boat pressure, not just local pressure, but the sheer volume of boats, kayaks included, that are on the water at any given time really makes it a challenge. And so I've had some really good moments throughout the season. You referenced the event at Santee Cooper when I did the Native No Limits, and that was an epic day. And I've had some really, really good single days this year. But my failure this year has been stringing my 2 days of tournaments together and actually materializing the numbers needed to be in the top 5 or top 10 of those events. And so we're going to work on that going forward, and we'll see how it plays out. Like Jody, man, my goal is to get to the championship. That's what I'm in it for. I didn't come in looking to hunt the AOI. The AOI is a nice bonus. But like my intent is to give myself an opportunity to fish in the championship because that's, to me, where I want to be at. So, yeah.
Sounds good. Well, guys, stand by 1 second. We'll be right back.
Feelfree Kayaks. Paddle, pedal, or power. Something for everyone. DuBro Fishing. Marine products for fresh or saltwater adventures. ZPRO Lithium. Serious power for serious anglers. Big Lake Bait Company. Texas's #1 custom soft plastics.
All right, guys, welcome back to the show. As you can see, I got 4 studs, big names in the industry right here on the show, talking 2024. Top left, we got Josh Diehl from Georgia. Top right, we got Dustin Nichols from Texas. 2 guys on the bottom are locals from West Virginia, Jody Queen and Buddy Vance. So, guys, welcome to the second half of the Rusty Hook Kayak Fishing Podcast. If you missed the first half, make sure you go back and check it out because these guys talked about their achievements for the first part of 2024 and what they're looking forward to in the rest of the year, the second half of the year. Hey, now let's change little gears. We're approaching with weeks from summertime bite, and you guys are hammers. I mean, I know all of you. Josh is probably the person I know the least, but I've got to spend some time with him and learn about his techniques. I've seen Jody and Buddy fish for the last 10 years, and Dustin and I have been talking to each other for the last 3 or 4. So what I'd like to hear from you guys and talk to the folks out there is the transition to this warmer water that we're getting now. As we move into the summertime bite, Dustin's already had a frog event. And let's talk about some techniques that maybe you would employ to get that big bite. Not specifically a tournament type situation, but just out looking to get that record fish. Josh, we'll start you off there, buddy.
Fair enough. I actually do want to talk about this kind of from a tournament mindset because I go into a pretty big bass boat event this weekend, and our fish are finally moving to the summer pattern, and summer pattern is my strong suit. I tend to excel and do the best in summer and winter, and in the summertime, getting offshore, dragging large worms, 10 to 12 inch worms, and throwing 25-foot cranks. That'll basically, wear you out at the end of the day and tug your kayak around like it's nothing. That's where it's at, and I can assure you right now that like heading into the summer, that's where I'm concentrating. I'm concentrating on deep offshore water. I'm looking at ledges. I'm looking at humps. I'm looking at areas where fish are going to be loaded up to eat, and I'm going to be either dragging a big worm or a big crank through them.
So when you talk about when you're saying you're throwing a crankbait, you're throwing a crankbait that dives 25 feet.
Yeah, 25 to 28 feet on a single cast, and so that plug is like this.
yeah, I bet. So I guess what I'd like to know when you're throwing something like that, what is your setup for the people that might want to throw something like that?
So for me, when I'm throwing the big crank like that, I throw it on a Dobbins 736 CB glass. That's my preference. I could probably run to a larger rod, and I know a lot of people that throw that crankbait on a larger rod, but I like it on the smaller rod because I'm bouncing back and forth from the kayak to the bass boat. And so the 736 makes it a little bit easier for me to run it in the bass boat. Basically, I'm running that on a Diehl Tatula Elite 6-3-1 with 14-pound Sunline fluorocarbon.
Hey, Dustin, I think I saw your head bobbing there quite a bit when they were talking about that big worm. And down in Texas, I guess you're fishing that kind of stuff too. What was your thoughts on that? I mean,
big worm on a swing head on the humps and ledges for sure, or a Carolina rig with the creature bait. Drag real slow there during this time of year as the water heats up and everything. But I've had some good results in the past here on some power plant lates with a topped out hydrilla punching with a 3/4 1 ounce peg weight with a creature bait in 12 to 14 foot of water. Cashed some checks doing that over the years in some of the trails here, and had some luck doing that as well. And as far as saltwater side, I'm just beating the banks in the marsh for the redfish. Sometimes they pull off, depending on the tidal situation and everything, but I'm just covering water, looking for activity. When you're fishing in 2 foot of water or less, sometimes you're just looking for the birds, the snowy egrets, and you're looking for, bait fish presence and different things like that. We got a big shad spawn going on right now, a bunch of little small in the marsh. You really had to downsize a little bit. This time of year, that bullseye with 28 small furnace.
Dustin, I think we've lost your audio there, buddy.
Oh, I got it.
There we go. You're back.
Maybe it popped off or something. I need to move a little closer. Yeah, but yeah, like I said, those shad in the marsh, that Z-Man bullseyes. It's a spinner bait with a jig head on it, a number 4 blade, and just get that vibration and flash. Kind of helps mimic those little small bait fish in the marsh right now. Yeah, cool. Pretty good. Mm-hmm.
Appreciate that, man. Hey, Jody, your thoughts on those techniques?
I mean, those are great techniques. I mean, I'm a shallow water fisherman, and I very seldom spend very much time out on the ledges, but now I will hit the humps, and I'll throw usually my deep water doesn't go beyond 15 feet.
Right.
Swing head jigs, in the summertime, I like to throw the swing head jig with a good creature bait. I like the Reaction Innovations, the Kinky Beavers. They're a big size, big profile creature bait. I like the palmetto bugs. But a lot of times, man, I try to get it on the early morning bite. I'm going to throw some buzz baits, some top waters, some locos, some choppos, and, do some big top water stuff early. But most of the time during the day, I'll try to get around some of the feeder creeks where the water's a little bit cooler coming in, and I've got decent depth. Chickamauga is a good example. Those fish on the Tennessee chain, they'll move up into those small creeks and they'll find a big log and they'll just get under it. I've caught 6-7 pounders in 2-3 foot of water in 90-degree water. It's kind of the area that you're fishing. But you know, if I'm fishing a little farther south and got some ledges and stuff, you know, I'll throw some rock crawlers and dive down 11, 12, 13 feet and hit points, drop offs and stuff like that. But most of the time, even in the summer, I'm fishing shallow. One of the big things that I found about the Tennessee chain is that, you know, if I fish the ledges down there, but sometimes it's hard to get them activated. But if those fish do move shallow, they're there to feed. And that's the only reason why they're there a lot of times. So I'll run the banks early in the morning, like I say, and late at night with some top water. But most of the time during the heat of the day, I find me a cool creek that's running in where the water temperature's a few degrees cooler. Find me a big lay down and just start working. And I'll pull right up on top of them and I don't make no casts. I'll just pitch it here, pitch it there, and pitch it here, and work the bait as close to the log as I can. And one thing I've noticed also down on Chick is when they get back in those creek arms and stuff is they'll waller out a hole underneath a log, and it'll be, you know, 2 feet. I'll be sitting in 2 feet of water, but underneath that log where they got that hole, it'll be 3-4 foot deep sometimes. I mean, they'll dig them out and they'll just lay under them. And most of the time the water's a little bit colored back in there, so you don't really spook them or anything. So yeah, I pull right up on them lay downs and just drop right down into the limbs with the bait. Rock piles in 10, 12 foot of water work good. A lot of times on the Tennessee chain, I'll throw a shaky head, slow things down a little bit, use a little bit bigger profile shaky head on them and finesse them a little bit. But my favorite baits in the summertime are top water buzz baits and prop baits and swing head jigs.
Awesome, man. Hey, buddy, give us your thoughts.
In summertime, early in the morning, I definitely go with top water, or it'd be a walking bait, buzz bait, or some type of plopper style bait.
Yeah.
As the day progresses and the sun comes up, I definitely move offshore. I prefer offshore, hopefully get away from some of the pressure. Dragging the Carolina rig, I mean, it's a little boring, but it does produce for sure. Or a jig, but probably one of my favorites, definitely a deep diving crankbait, and I throw it a lot and depend on it. So,
well, what is your setup? 10
to 20 foot range.
Yeah. What is your setup to throw up that type of crankbait?
I'm same as other. You know, every rod I've got is a Dobbin series, except one. I've got another a St. Croix in a glass, which I'll throw it also on a Shimano Corrado. So
cool. All right. Well, let's kick off another thing here, buddy. For 2024, the rest of the year, what do you have planned? I know you got some tournaments planned. You probably got some more trips planned with your dad. But I mean, what else do you have in store for yourself?
We'll fish the rest of the Bassmaster Series kayaks tournaments, the Stusky, and then going down to Louisiana to fish the ship. Definitely going to try to fish the Hobie event, and I think it's in September on the Chick. And hopefully fish some local tournaments. Like I said, I haven't fished one yet, but I plan on fishing some once it calms down a little bit.
Well, I would say that these West Virginia guys are pretty happy that you and Jody have been traveling and not taking their money here. You know, so.
I definitely missed the Mud River. I mean, I won it the last couple of years, and I hated to miss it, but I tried to miss it and just focus on Guntersville.
Well, you had won that event like 3 years in a row, hadn't you?
Yeah, that's one of my favorite lakes, and I do real well there. And no matter what time of year, I mean, but it's my local lake, so I should do good.
Yeah. All right, Josh. What for? I know you, like you said earlier, in the last 20 weeks, you've spent 16 weeks on the water. So you got a tournament coming up in your bass boat that you talked about, but what else do you have planned for 2024?
Yeah, so looking at the schedule on the kayak side of things, I know that I at least have 3 events remaining. Have some iffies in there. I'm confirmed for Caddo, confirmed for Chick. That's Bass and Hobie, respectively. Up in the air about Saginaw Bay, contemplating making that run. We'll see. I have no experience up there. And right now, the biggest concern that I have for the Susky trip is that I may have to take a work trip, and so I may not be able to make the Susky run. But we'll have to play that one by ear. And then I'm trying to keep points in check to find my way to Santee Cooper DOC, sprinkling a handful of bass boat events, and we'll have a busy rest of the year, but not as busy as the front of the year's been.
I got you. What about you, Dustin?
Oh, I'm diving off into the boat scene for 3 events this year with the Professional Redfish Series, Professional Redfish League. Sorry, Ron Henney. He had some kayak events the past few years as well, but we're diving into the boat side on that one. But then I have some of the rest of the Hobie Saltwater Series. In August, going to fish with the guys on Lake Charles. September 21st, if I can get out of the outage at work, I have one with MBKFA in Alabama for their 5 Rivers event. And then October the 12th with Bayou Coast Kayak Anglers, that Fall and Tide in Louisiana. That's always a killer event. Those guys know how to throw a super awesome event. That's one of the oldest kayak fishing clubs in the country. So it'll be cool to get over there. Hopefully that's October the 12th. Still be on an outage, I believe. And then I have my event there too, that I host. Is the Redfish Greenfish Smackdown, which is a multi-species event with your best 3 redfish on day 1. Then you wrap up day 2 with your best 5 bass on Lake Bass Drop. And the aggregate total wins. We usually have sponsored dollars that pays out guaranteed payouts on the aggregate totals for day 1 and day 2 both. So big something. I'm excited for it to run its 3rd year now.
And you need to keep me posted on that so we can try to get you something from ZPRO down there. I mean,
I'd appreciate that.
I definitely
Dude from Catch always hooks it up, man. Trophies and support, and man, it's grown each year. So we're looking forward to bigger things this year. Yeah.
Sweet. All right, there, Total Package, the greatest of all time. What do you got going on, Big Daddy? What's your rest of your year look like? I know what we're going to be doing in August, but what are you doing between now and then?
Well, definitely. I mean, I got to fish the Hobie Worlds on St. Clair. That's coming up here in a couple of weeks, 27th through the 1st or 2nd. And then after that, it's going to be the Bass Masters Series on Susquehanna, and I'll go down to Caddo too. Me and Buddy's going to be fishing same things there for a couple months there. There's 2 places I really look forward to. I have the last couple of years, but Caddo is one of my favorite places to fish. I love it down there. Just even if I get down there and I don't finish real well, I usually finish okay down there. But
is that Texas?
It's on the Texas-Louisiana border.
Okay.
And it's around Shreveport and Shreveport-Bossier City. And there's a couple other lakes involved in that. I think Beastino was one of them. But I love Caddo. It's just all those big cypress trees and getting them back in there, man. That's just, you're paddling through the forest, and it's just an awesome place to be. And Cayuga, I love being up there. I think those are about my 2 favorite lakes right now. But after that, it's going to be the championships. I'm going to go to Gunnersville and fish the KBF championships, Challenge Series championships, and the Trail Series championship. And then I'll have the TOC in September on Santee Cooper, and then wherever, and then I don't know what after that. I think I've got something all the way up until, but I really want to. I'll tell you, I really want to fish one of Drew Gregory's tournaments.
Yeah, I'd like to do that.
I can't make it to this one this weekend. He's up in Whitehall, Michigan this weekend, but there's one in July. I think it's July 12th before the Susky. I think I'm going to try to make it. That's a real interesting format. There's a lot you can do with it. There's they got the micro bagging, which could be a lot of fun. You can do a team tournament there. You can go there as a team. You can do it, individual basis. And just the venues that he's got lined up with the old theaters and stuff, and then running footage behind you as you're on the stage. I mean, it's just a great concept. I really want to try to get one or two of those in before the year's out too.
Yeah, I really hope that the people out there involved in the sport on the sponsorship side are watching what Drew's doing, and they appreciate what he's doing, and jump in there and provide him with a little bit of assistance. Because that could be that would be a way to enhance and grow the trail. The series is the way. I mean, we've seen Hobie and Bass and KBF, those national trails. They pretty much do the same thing, and they walk the same lines. But what Drew's doing is something completely out of the box.
Yeah, it's breaking the mold, you know. And I mean, you know, when you go to an event like the way he's got it set up with it's kind of like a day and a half tournament,
right?
You know, when you're doing the national trails like the Hobie and the Bass and it's from the time I get there to the time I get home, it's full throttle. It's 100%. And the way he's got it set up is you can go. It just seems like it's more relaxing and there's less pressure. And it's probably the events that you want to maybe camp, bring a family member, bring your wife, it seems real family friendly. And he's always got he's got classes going on, some little seminars here and there. You know, Jeff Little goes to Jeff Little. I just talked to Jeff earlier this season. He's on his way up there. He's going to stop by, I think, St. Clair and fish a little bit. But
yeah, I saw Jeff when I was up at Lake Erie. We stopped at Fish USA to get Tony Bull on a cart because that big beast was taking that native and dragging it across the sand like it was nothing. You know, and he got him a cart. You know, he's a brand new kayak angler. It's all Buddy Vance's fault. Got him involved. Him and Tony Boland, but it was not Tony. My bad. Tony got Michael Oglesby involved in kayak fishing, and Mike's a big, strong man, and
he just gonna grab and growl.
That's what he did. But when he got a set of wheels for the next 3 days, he was like, "Man, this is a lot better."
Yeah.
Because you know, we had that launch is like 150 yards from the road to the water, so he was just dragging it through the sand. And,
he had to get it there somehow.
Yeah. So you know, I'm glad we got to talk about that because I really feel like you're on the spot on there about what Drew's doing and how he's changing the mold, and hopefully, again, I do hope that companies out there are watching and they'll start providing assistance and support to keep that growing.
Yeah, me too.
Hey, while we're talking about this, we've talked. I want to talk about teams.
Mm-hmm.
All you guys here belong to teams. You've managed teams. You've went from one team to another team. You've went solo. I mean, I managed the Feelfree fishing team. I know Dustin's managed Jackson. Jody, you've been a contributing member for like Z-Man and Fishing Online that you're wearing a shirt for now. All these. And when I'm talking about these guys, I guess my question is, when you're on a team, do you find being a part of that team beneficial? Other than maybe the support you get from the company, do your team members, your teammates, do they work with you? Do they talk with you? Do you guys communicate? Do you provide each other with guidance, information on waters that you might not be familiar with? Because I've been part of teams for the last 10 years, and I can tell you my experiences are that doesn't happen very much.
No, it doesn't. I think it's according to what team you're on. I think if a sponsor, so here's a good example. Fishing Online is, most of the guys that are on Fishing Online, we all have a friendship already before we even got with Fishing Online. So
right.
Me and Matt Ball,
Coy Lehman, Russ Johnson,
all
those guys.
Teams like that, it's a little more. Yeah, you get some information, but as far as the Z-Man team, I rarely talk to anybody who's on the team. For one thing, Z-Man is probably one of the hardest sponsors to grab, man. They don't hardly go there with kayaks.
Right.
It's just me and Drew and a couple others, I think, and they're pretty closed up. And I share a couple teams with the same anglers, like Corey Dreyer and Casey Reed. We're all on the caching team.
Right.
And Matt's on the caching team. So I mean, and when we go to these tournaments, we usually stay together in an Airbnb. We're all on the Dakota team, so we're all pretty much together all the time anyway. So we kind of all share. But some of the bigger sponsors like Z-Man, it's a little bit different, I think. Sorry,
Dustin.
I turned that off.
Oh yeah. There's info shared here and there. I mean, being a team manager, that was one of my. I try to connect with everybody and keep a relationship with everybody on the team, which can be tough at times. But communication and accessibility was always what I try to do. But if I was going fishing somewhere up near some team members, I'd reach out and say, hey man, you got any, you want to meet and fish or do anything like that? It might not have been for a tournament, but then but saltwater side is the same thing. There's a bunch of guides on the Waterloo. That's my rod sponsor here out of the town I live in, Victoria, Texas. We share information, pre-fishing and see different things. I got some friends I can reach out to if I'm unfamiliar with an area or something, or going somewhere I hadn't been in a while, kind of see what the situation is.
Now, when you say those friends, are they part of the team, or are they just outside?
No, they're part of the team. Yeah, part of Waterloo. Yeah, a lot of that. We don't spoon feed each other, but we'll share some general information.
Right.
Yeah,
I mean, at the end of the day, it's a competition, but
right.
I look at. I'm just curious. A lot of team sports out there, like let's say NASCAR, or some of those places out there. Those teammates work together so they can do well. It's great that we all can cash a check at a tournament, but if the goal was to be doing something like what Jody and Josh and Buddy are doing, which is to make it to the Angler of the Year race, to be part of the Tournament of Champions, it's about consistency. And without a good team, without information sharing, I don't see a person doing that. I mean, that's the reason I wanted to pose that question, because you guys all here are industry leaders, industry winners, and well-known and respected anglers. And I was curious. I mean, we all know the rumors about groups of people out on the water talking and sharing with their, Bluetooth gang, or however they were being called. Groups out there talking while they're fishing. Now the rules have been changed in some places to where that doesn't happen. But I mean, I was just curious if you guys had ever experienced that, having that kind of a team.
There's been some times where you've been on some fish or something, and you might give way to a teammate that was sitting in a better position to cash a check. Oh yeah,
exactly.
That's happened. Oh yeah, that's just common courtesy, and sometimes that goes out the window. But I wasn't raised that way.
Well, yeah. Buddy, what do you think, buddy?
I mean,
I'm about like you, John. I haven't got much info from other teammates, but most of my info comes from relationships built with friends, throughout since we've been fishing together. Most of my information I get from that. Yeah,
Josh.
So I think for myself, I'd categorize it into three groups. You have your shop teams. Your shop teams tend to be a little bit closer knit and tend to do a better job sharing information with one another. You have your corporate teams, like the ones that are focused, like ZPRO, Dobbins, Z-Man, Dakota. You have those bigger teams like that. Some of those are not as sharing information wise, but a lot of people are competing, high competition, a lot of high end anglers, and so like information is a little bit harder to come by. And then you have I'm gonna throw it out there, the KFL teams, and so or the KBT teams or whatever. And I'll be honest with you, my KB team crew, the Southern Slayers, like I know we don't have a team this year because the Southeast didn't want to come out and play. But the reality of that situation is that team has been the closest knit team that I've ever been on. And like you want to talk about sharing information to a level of detail, when you're going out and competing as a team, you're truly learning bodies of water as a team. And so that has transpired into practices and other events where you have that capacity to share because you have that open rapport. You know what you're getting from another angler, and you know their kind of techniques and their skills and like how they're dissecting water, and you see it differently. And so I'd break it in those three categories: the corporate side, the dealer side, and then like those other teams, the KBT, KFL kind of teams. Different dynamics in each of them.
Yeah, I'll definitely share on that. We still have a Coosa Kingfishers message group, and we always talk on there all the time to this day from 2-3 years ago. Yeah.
Same thing for the Slayers.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean the thing that's going on right now is the pay for information, paying for waypoints, paying for, that's the big thing now. That's beyond what we experience. Is just friends being friends. And this sport, the kayak fishing sport, is just most of it's just a friendly. Hey man, I'm catching them on this. I'm catching them over there. I'm catching them over there. We're not. I don't go out and try to find a pro and buy his waypoints or nothing like that. There's some that do.
Right.
But I'd rather figure it out myself. If I got to go that route, then maybe I need somebody else to fish for me. So it takes time to gather that information. I mean, over the course of years, you're going to have waypoints and you're going to save them, and and eventually you'll learn a lake and know exactly what you're going to do when you go to that lake. It takes time to build that. I'd rather have that under my wing rather than trying to make a shortcut and go and get it somewhere else. It's just not so important to me to win that I've got to do that.
See, that's something I never thought about because I've been fishing with electronics for years, but I can tell you right now, I have never ever pushed a button for a waypoint. And I know you're looking at me. Yeah. All you guys like, what the heck? Because most of this
all over my junk.
Because I wouldn't even know how to access it. That was one of the things that when we went up to Lake Erie, I was telling Buddy, because we shared the house there. I was like, man, I wish you brought your kayak. I thought originally I thought he was bringing his kayaks because he runs. The reason I have the 2 360s or the Hummingbirds is I watched Buddy last year but he's got that XI3. He's standing up there, Dustin. This dude, he's about your size, but he's standing in front of that Hobie, on the front of the Hobie, with his XI3, and he's like, I'm waiting for him to fall out of the water because it's like that thing will do a hard turn and then a hard turn because it's going back to a waypoint that he had from last year, looking for that bed. And anyway, amazing electronics expert is Buddy Vance. I've got those Hummingbirds, and I was like, man, I need you. I want to sit down with you, and Buddy, we're still going to do it sometime this year.
Yes,
but I want to sit down and just go through my systems and make sure I've got everything right. Because Josh is sitting there laughing because he comes to the house when we're at Lake Norman, and I just got my Hummingbird 360 unit, but I didn't realize it didn't have a head unit with it, so I was naked. I didn't even have a head unit to go with it. So that's the reason I had to hit Fish USA up and spend $3,000 to get a couple of nice 9-inch head units to go with it. And now I'm set up. I've got a great system, but I need to learn a little bit more about it. And when Jody was sitting there talking about waypoints, I never even thought about somebody saying, "Hey, here's 5 waypoints. Go hit those up."
Here's the thing, John. I mean, you're not there's no guarantee you're going to catch the fish if you find fish with electronics. Now, there's no guarantee, but here's the thing. It can be a huge time saver.
Exactly.
So
I can see that.
my last tournament up here on Cayuga, I launched, and there was a place that I would naturally fish that place because it just looks good. I knew it had some rock around it. I knew it dropped off into deep water. I knew it had all those things, but I didn't know if it had fish on it. And if I didn't have electronics, I'd go up there and I'd spend 2 or 3 hours on game day trying to pull a fish out of there. There might not be anything on there worth hanging out for.
Right.
But with electronics, like if you got your side scan and you're cruising through and you see a stump and you see a little tic tac off that stump, there's a fish on it. You can stop, you can drop a waypoint on that. And if you're in a stump bed, you can run a whole flat and just drop waypoints on stumps and then go back and check them. And if you're using forward facing sonar, you can pull up on them and tell immediately if there's fish on them. So it's a huge time saver, but there's still no guarantee that you're going to catch those fish. But it's going to increase your chances because sooner or later you're going to come across fish that are going to be schooled up. I had this last tournament, there was 7 or 8 big ones just swimming around a pile of rocks in there. My first 2 fish were almost 20 inches, and then I caught an 18, and that gave me my start of the day. But I saw those fish, and it just saved. I was going to fish it anyway, but it saved me time. I knew where to throw. I knew there was fish there. And so I fished it, and then I moved on. So it's just a huge time saver. It can save you a lot of time.
Well, I don't know if you remember when you and I were crossing paths when we were fishing on O'Brien 2 years ago, the tournament you won. We were back in the creek, and you were coming down the creek. I was coming up the creek, and I moved over to the left, and you kept buzzing down that creek. And I'll never forget it because I shouldn't have moved. Because you pulled like a 16-inch bass off the bank, and I'm like, I looked at you and I was giving you a few choice words. I'm like, and you were over there doing what you're doing now, giggling, and I'm like, how did you? He's like, I got that side scan, and I saw it right off the bank. I just cast right over. Do you remember that?
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard to see them with your side scan, but when you do, they look like little tic tacs on my ranch unit. Or you might not see the fish, but you'll see the shadow on the bottom. You might move through and see 4 or 5 shadows. And once you learn what to look for, you'll know when to slow down and stop and throw those fish. But I remember that day.
Yeah.
I remember that day.
Yeah.
But, yeah, it's all good times. But once you get more accustomed to using,
you didn't even buy me dinner.
I know, man. I was cheap back then.
No, I appreciate it. I appreciate the conversation because that's something that, we're about ready to wrap it up here. I don't want to keep you guys too much longer, but I just wanted to talk about teamwork and final thoughts. Jody, kick it off on teamwork and just summertime bite.
I think the teamwork is a good thing. I think it's if this sport was set up in a way where you couldn't communicate with anybody or, and you're out there all doing it all on your own and it takes the camaraderie out of the sport. I have no problem with communication on the water. Now, I do have a problem with somebody fishing the north end of the lake calling somebody on the south end saying, "Hey, I'm on the fish here, and we're in the middle of a tournament." You know what I mean? If you want to wait until you get back to the house and say, "Hey, man, I slayed them up here today. If you're more than welcome to come up with me," that's fine.
Yeah.
But to instantly drop that information on someone and they instantly pick up and move, that creates a huge disadvantage for the people who are out there busting their balls, trying to
find fish.
Yep.
Yeah.
Dustin, what are your thoughts, buddy?
Oh, I agree with that. What Jody just said right there for sure. No doubt. But yeah, good, little knowledge here and there. Like I said, I ain't one for spoon feeding, I said, and there's info out there on lakes if you put in the work to find it. Google Maps with the historical trends and get on your fish finder and go and look at it. If you've been on the body of water enough times to kind of know it, you can go watch people's YouTube videos and figure out where the hell they're at.
Exactly.
There's all of us. I mean, I do it. I look at it. I do. I look at all that kind of stuff. Yeah,
I do too.
For sure.
Josh?
Well, I think to add to what the guys said, I think you're going to see continued evolution of the rules and rule changes. Jody brought up an interesting point when he was talking before this small breakout session about, people buying waypoints, and like the Fish Tips program has shown up and it's impacting certain fisheries and certain competitions. And like, it's a real issue. And like a lot of the big circuits on the boat level have always historically had these no information rules and really been strict and stringent on communication. You can communicate within your field, but communicating outside the field with guides or buying is off limits. And I think we're trending that direction because, as Steve Owens has said himself, there's so much money, so much competition, a lot of people competing for the same spot. They got to keep it as fair as they can keep it. And so I think you're going to see rules that are going to evolve to help protect the spirit of the sport. But I agree with the crew when it comes to like during practice and whatnot. I think that the anglers need to be able to talk to each other as much as they want, however they want. I don't care. On competition day, though, it's you versus everybody else and you versus the lake. And the reality of the situation is like the rules need to make sure that they're enforced as during competition, you're locked in yourself. You can go home at the end of the day and talk to whoever you want with regards to the competition, but like during competition itself,
Right.
That needs to be on silent. It needs to be off.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. This would be a no.
Yep.
All right, buddy Vance, wrap her up for us, big guy.
About the same. I mean, I'm okay with enjoy the conversations during practice, the sharing of some information. But come tournament day, like that, I mean, you're to yourself, and you do put yourself at a big disadvantage if somebody else is telling you they're batting on the south end of the lake and you pick up a move. And I mean, that's a big disadvantage. You don't have that information. So definitely the sharing during the day, I'm against, but during practice, I don't see nothing wrong with it.
Tim Roger. Hey guys, nothing but love. I appreciate everybody stepping up and helping out with tonight's show. And I just want to wish you well and hope to see everybody. And I will see everybody real soon here. One or two more times before we end the year. Dustin, look forward to hanging out with you down in Florida.
Yep.
And Jody, August time down on the New River, buddy. I'm sure we'll be somewhere soon. But Josh Diehl, we will definitely hook up again. But guys, thank you again for joining the Rusty Hook Kayak Fishing podcast tonight.
Thank you,
Be blessed, and thanks again.
Thank you, John.
Thank y'all.
See you guys.
God bless y'all.
Yes, sir.
All right, so I want to thank you guys for hanging out and spending the evening with us, with Dustin, Jody, Josh. You can find all of their links to their Facebook, Instagram, YouTube pages in the show description tonight. So make sure you go like, follow, and subscribe to their pages. Make sure you hit like, subscribe, and follow to the Paddle and Fin page and Chasing the Tide, Rusty Hook. We appreciate your support. Nothing but love. Always remember safety. If you're going out this time of year, make sure you let somebody know where you're at, where you're going. Use a program where family can follow you or trace you if you're by yourself. And always wear your PFD. It's John Rapp, Rusty Hook Kayak Fishing Podcast, June 4th. Be safe.